Hello, so welcome back to another video of Windows Server 2008 release number 2 managing tutorials. So the things we're going to be talking about today is folder redirection and printer deployment. So what is folder redirection? Now folder redirection is the main thing to remember about it is to safely and properly back up your client or your workstation owner's data on your server so that you can properly share it throughout the networks of your workstations, and it can be equally accessed by the designated or the properly privileged or administrators throughout your network. The next one is printer deployment. So what is a printer deployment? Printer deployment is deploying printers all throughout your network so that your workstations or your clients can access all of those printers, remotely access them without physically touching them, so they can print out papers depending on their work. So one of the steps we're going to be talking about for the procedure today is your folder redirection. So the things I'm going to teach you for today is only the fundamental steps on making a redirected folder for your network. So one thing to keep in mind is that when making your own elaborate network system where different rules will be applied, different terms, different objects will be, and policies will be applied for your network, is that I'm not going to tackle all of that, so just the basic steps. So keep in mind that I'm going to teach you different rules, maybe different things for the networks you may need or the network that you are going to plan. So the first step we're going to be talking about is going to your Windows Server 2008 release number 2 or R2, and then making your folder in your desktop or anywhere. But for now we're just going to place it on your desktop. Right click it, go to properties, click sharing, click advanced sharing, then permissions, and then click everyone or every user. And then for the permissions, click full control, change, and then read. So as I've said you earlier, we're just going to teach you how to make a folder that will be redirected for your whole entire network. So keep in mind that when making your network, your own network that requires different needs, that requires different methods on creating permissions for your users, that in reality you can always give them all of these permissions. But for now, we're just going to check all of these permissions for practicing purposes. Click OK, and then copy the root path of your folder redirection. So the second fundamental step in managing your folder redirection is going to your Start menu, Administrative Tools, and then Group Policy Management. So let me explain what is a group policy. So a group policy is basically the rules you can set or the requirements you can set for your network or your server so that it can properly manage your entire domain. And then a group policy management is where you can manage everything, every object, every group policy, and every operational or organizational unit in your network or in your domain. So in this menu, your forest in your domain will appear in the left-hand side of your menu. So the first step we're going to be tackling today is right-clicking your organizational unit that we've made earlier from the tutorial, opening up your employee or the organizational unit that you've made, right-clicking it, and then create a new GPO or a group policy object. And this group policy object is a requirement or a rule that you can apply to your network so that for this video, so that it can redirect different folders or the folders from different users in your network or different clients from your network can access these folders and then input their data so that the data from their work can be transferred or easily and properly transferred to your server so that it can be backed up and then accessed by your administrator or your server manager. So by creating a new group policy object, you will be asked to type in the name of your group policy or GPO. So type it in. Let's say you're gonna type in admin for this tutorial, then click next or OK, and then edit your group policy object, and then a menu will appear so that you can access the folder redirection or the place that you want your clients to use so that they can redirect their data to your server. So click on user configuration, policies, Windows settings, and then folder redirection. So a menu will appear that will list folders or different folders from an existing workstation or a client that can be accessed by your clients or your workstation owners so that they can deliver or extend these data to your system. So for this tutorial and for this step, we're just going to click the desktop or the desktops on your different designated workstations so that you can easily access the desktop back and forth from your server to workstation and workstation to server, so that it can be easily backed up by your server, and your server can easily feed the workstations with proper data and proper files so that they can be accessed equally by your workstations. So a menu will appear that will ask you for the setting of your folder redirection. So for this tutorial, we're just gonna click on basic so that every workstation on your network and every data that they manage to put on their desktop will be directed or redirected to the server, to your server, to which it is only one location, which is the folder named folder redirection. And then target folder location. And then the next one is create a folder for every user on the root path. So by selecting this basically makes all of your users or your workstations a designated folder for their files in the desktop, so that when you access your server, go to the folder redirection, you will see basically 10 workstations depending on the number of your workstations in your network, and 10 folders that are designated for every workstation that are in your network. So after this, click on next. So after this, input in your root path or the folder in your server, the designated path for it, and then click apply. Then after this, go to your command prompt, type in gp update space / force, and then click enter, and then wait for it to receive the command, and then a menu will pop up or a text will pop up that will say this. And then that's it for the folder redirection. So you can check if it's working. So check your server if it's fully redirected, and then check your workstation. Try to make a folder on your desktop and then input in files in them, and then go to your server, click on your folder redirection, and then double check if it makes a folder for the workstation, and then the necessary files inputted on your workstation in the desktop. And then that's it. So the main things and the meanings for making a folder redirection for your network is so that your workstations and the data they create can have a reliable and organized data restoration or a backup for the data they have created. And then the second thing on having this is so that you can have an organized and elaborate workstation organization with folders consisting of data. And then the third thing is so that you can access from server to client and client to server back and forth messages and server files and then client files, so that you can access them vice versa via remotely accessing them using only the folder redirection. So the last thing we're going to be talking about for this procedure is your printer deployment. So the first step in printer deployment is click on your printers and devices, and then a menu will appear that will ask you that will list all the devices and printers that are currently connected on your server or the computer that you are currently working on. So if you don't have a printer connected, just click on add printer, click on add a local printer, then use an existing port, click OK or click next, and then choose the existing printer that you have. Maybe Brother, Epson, or any printer brand name that you have. Then click on the driver, then right click it and click on printer properties, and then use the driver that is currently installed, then click next, then keep hitting next until you reach the point where it says to finish. If you are looking for technical details for your printer, just read every single meticulous details for it so that you won't miss anything. But just keep hitting next until you reach the point where it says finish, and then a printer will be added to the list in your menu of printers and devices. And then right click the printer that you have made, and then check the box that says share this printer. So this basically makes the printer or the printers, if you added many printers for your network, so that it is currently accessible by different workstations and clients, so that it can be accessed with convenience and efficiency. And then you're done. So the key takeaways for this video is that making a folder redirection is basically making a group policy object so that you can create your very own redirected folder for your different workstations in your network. So a group policy is basically making rules for your network or your referred domain for making different requirements and having the planned network for your needs. So that's it. Thank you for watching.